Hello, my name is Omar Rampersad. It is June 10, 2018 at 4:45 p.m. in Toronto. So I posted some tweets today on my Twitter account, RSHINI911. Those are my tweets. So I tweeted about some parallels between my case and the woman who supposedly murdered somebody, stuck a knife into somebody unprovoked, completely unprovoked. So when I say parallels, I don't mean sticking knives into people. Obviously, she did a really horrific thing, and she has to be held accountable for it. However, the circumstances that surrounds um, her her life that led up to her doing this horrific act um, is very um, is very similar to mine. And I personally believe that she did what she did because she was drugged. She was on antipsychotic drugs, and these drugs have very, very, very powerful side effects. And the people who knew her, all of them actually who knew her, they all said that it was completely out of character for her to do such a thing. So the question has to be asked, what made her do it? So she talked about being harassed in the workplace. She talked um, about being estranged from her family. Her family was harassing her because she was too modern in her thinking, um, and went against her family's conservative Hindu beliefs. So her family was harassing her because of that. She ran away from home because of these differences in belief systems. She also talked about people conspiring against her in the workplace to degrade her performance. She talked about, or the report talked about being diagnosed with schizophrenia and being drugged with antipsychotic drugs. Now, she claims that in her statement that she's being acted upon, and I'm suspecting that this is true. I believe she's been experimented with. I also believe she was trafficked. Now, the experimentation and the trafficking goes hand in hand, I'm suspecting. I've, um, I've come to the conclusion in my case, based on everything that's been going on and all the videos that I made in the past, that I am being trafficked remotely. And it's under the guise of being flagged. This is a new system of community policing where anybody, any citizen, anybody can report to the cops about anybody, about things that they see, hear, presumably. So, of course, there's a lot of room for lying and for targeting. I've been targeted in this building as a prostitute, and workers have been calling the cops saying that I might be having drugs in my place and have my drugs home checked for drugs. Infiltrated my family, saying that telling a family that they think I'm a prostitute, and so on and so on and so on. So, of course, none of it is true. I can't take drugs, number one. Number two, I grew up in a very strict environment, um, well taken care of, loved, um, taken care of. I didn't grow up as Rahini Besasar. So that's where the parallel ends. And the parallel also will not be extended to sticking a knife into somebody because that's not going to happen in my case. My point is, what I'm trying to say is, while there are parallels, there are also huge differences. And what would make the difference to the outcome of the case, in my case, is I grew up in a very loving environment, totally cared for, and this girl didn't. Um, and this is my parents, my mother and father, never mind my brother and my sister in law, my deceased brother and sister in law. I'm talking about my parents. Um, so there is a huge difference in the outcome of this covert program that's been run to dispose of the victim after having experimented on them, doing experiments that is covertly run, trafficking and all the targeting that's going on against the person. The end is to dispose of the person, either mentally commit them or have them criminalized, as in this case, Rohini's Besasar's case. It's unfortunate that a person had to die in trying to dispose of a victim who was starting to talk about what she was experiencing. She was starting to question, she was starting to ask the right questions, I believe, because she was being experimented on. And I think she's absolutely right when she says something or somebody or a group of people were acting upon her. The experiment, I suspect, in my case, is to have me act out, to have me commit a violent act. Because right now the push is on to have me drugged. So how is that being done? Well, I'm being criminally constantly harassed. So when that happens, the person is going to act out. It incites anger. Inciting anger and inciting somebody to violence are crimes. Of course, the perpetrators are not going to be charged because this is part of the program. Um, so this is what happens. You're constantly harassed in all kinds of different ways. You have no peace in your life, none whatsoever. So it incites your anger and it makes you act out. And then people are going to call the cops and say, "Gee, she's acting weird." Well, venting anger in a constructive way inside your house is not acting weird. You should not be looked at and listened to inside of your home. Taking away your privacy is a major part of this covert program because you're under surveillance 24/7. You're put under um, um, custody, remote custody, as the community targeters are saying. So 24-hour surveillance, as if you're in prison. You're falsely imprisoned by the community. Openly talked about, openly harassed, everywhere and anywhere you go, including the workplace. Trafficked as part of the program, enslaved part of the program. So, what are the methods used to do this covertly? Well, chipping, electromagnetic technology, lasers, ultrasonic technology, sound technology, light technology. All of these things are going to be used to harass you, to act upon you, to make you act out in a way that will people will perceive you as mentally ill when absolutely nothing is wrong with the person. Now, in Rohini's Besasar's case, unfortunately, um, things turned out really, really horrifically wrong in her life for her to act out the way she did. I mean, sticking a knife in somebody's heart is, to me, is it doesn't matter how much harassment you go through, just sticking a knife in somebody's heart is just not something you should do at all, basically, unless the person is physically coming at you with a knife or trying to kill you in some other way. You have a right to self-defense. But to walk up cold-bloodedly, to approach somebody cold-bloodedly and stick a knife in their gut is one horrific act, and the person has to be held accountable for it. Um, and having said that, and also having said that there are other things that's leading up to that, um, there is my point is that that there are groups of people who are running experiments on people, victims, unwitting um, victims, um, that make people act out in such a horrific way. It makes people cross lines that normally they will never cross, ever. You're pushing somebody over a line in their own minds, in their own heads. So, and this way they destroy the person. They make the person not wanting to look at themselves in the mirror because what you see reflecting back at you is not something that you want to live with. This is part of the program to get rid of the person. Now, the person she stabbed, it's unfortunate, and I feel for the family. However, is it possible that the person she stabbed was um, taking part in the targeting? Is it possible that she was there in the store because she was tracking Miss Bessasar on an app and a cell phone, like I'm being tracked? Was it a coincidence that she was there? As I should ask in my case, is it a coincidence that as I walk into the gate, the same person will show up at the entrance of my building every single time? The instant I walk into the gate, is it a coincidence? Am I being monitored in the building? Well, yes. So am I being tracked? Of course I am. Now, in Miss Bessasar's case, did her family enroll her in the community targeting program, in the community policing program, because she ran away from home and the family didn't like what she was doing? She moved out and lived with her boyfriend. Was the family infiltrated by the traffickers who's running the community targeting program to have the family take part in the targeting? These are questions that needs to be asked in Ms. Bessasar's case. In my case, there is no way in hell you're going to get me to act out in a way that will criminalize myself. However, this will not stop people from trying. And while I will not do certain things, I will not cross lines that I believe in, and I don't believe in violence. Um, there is such a thing as entrapment, as in the charge that went through against me. That was entrapment. Because I strongly believe that the two Muslim women with their faces covered, were working on behalf of a monitor on the account that was working with the cops, who was reporting about me to the cops. So I was entrapped by the cops to be charged, and I was charged. Because part of the program is to criminalize the victim and destroy the person's career, and have that information in the workplace, and get a file together that criminalizes the person artificially based on lies and sworn affidavits, the people lying on affidavits, basically, because I'm a target and nothing will happen to them. That's the understanding. And to have this information, this fake file in the workplace to drive me out of the workplace, to impoverish me. So then you'll have people placed in your life after having um, being chased out of having you chased out of the workplace. People will come into your life and offer you things like, money, jobs, whatever, in exchange for being gerbiled to start with, remotely raped using Chinese technology in this building. There are other groups that's using it as well, other than Chinese, obviously. And then it will become a physical relationship. And you become a sex slave, you become, a sex slave, not a prostitute, because the person is going to keep you for a while and then pass you around to somebody else, pass you down to somebody else. Right now, I'm suspecting it's being done remotely. Of course, nothing is happening on my end because I know how to shield myself. I tweet about what's going on. I expose what's going on. I expose the people who's doing it. So there's no sex slavery on my end. However, it's not stopping the people who are running this program from trying to make me into one. And it's never going to stop until either they get me mentally committed or get me in prison or kill me, basically. This is what's going on. This is the covert program that's being run. Again, I'm not a prostitute. I don't intend to become one. And you being the perpetrators, are definitely not going to train me into becoming one. You can have contracts on me to surveil as many as you like. That will be dealt with in court. You will not be like Rohini Besasa. You will not be making me commit any violent crimes because I don't believe in violence, first of all. And number two, um, it's not. It's just not in me to hurt anybody physically like that without having to defend myself. I will only defend myself physically if somebody is trying to come at me physically. That's the only way I would physically defend myself. Other than that, there's not going to be any physical violence on my end. So stop trying to make me commit one. It's not going to work to the perpetrators out there. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. It's going on in 15 minutes, so I'll cut it off. Talk to you another time.